one thing you say is that women look better in the first place. Like, what does it mean?
I think that that just means that. Well, I'm basing that statement off of the stats, the data that shows that one sex is more attracted to the opposite sex than the other way around, right? So the data shows that women find men like generally a lot less attractive than men find women on average.
But that's like one of the things where I was like going nuts in my room, because this is like, this statistic is just looks, right? And the
Yeah.
question is, how attractive do you find these men? If I would
That
just,
was really the question. And I thought that they were just rating looks, but also I do think that when we say attractiveness, most people first think of physical attractiveness.
yeah,
Right? That's the default interpretation.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, I interrupted
Yeah,
you.
no problem. What would you think that a graph would look like? Like, this is it's just a normal distribution, right? And it's just tilted towards left. So it's just like the mean is just on at 4, so the curve is just built around the 4, right?
Yeah.
So, but the problem is that looks and beauty and attractiveness is just something that is relative. So the way we would expect it is to see it around the 5, right? That's the way it is for men, right? But we don't. We see
Yeah.
it around the 3. And like, what would you think would a graph look like where we would make people eat stuff but just close their nose? Like, wouldn't it look exactly the same way? Wouldn't all the food that we eat like taste like slightly more shit and just be tilted 2 points, 3 points towards left? Like, isn't that the case when
So
you are sick, when your nose is closed, right?
right, right. So
And
are you saying that because the like the study didn't include the non-looks aspects of what make men attractive, that when you remove that, it's like closing
yeah,
your nose. So
yeah,
the men's attractiveness got shifted down a whole lot. Is
of course,
that what you're saying?
yeah.
But I don't agree with that view because I don't think that it's analogous to the taste thing because you can have like let's say that because the thing is when you remove those other traits that could make a man attractive, it's not like all those traits turn into a negative.
No,
So
it's just
it's
not
like the
there.
man's looks, it's not there, but that means that it just should have a neutral effect on looks, not
That's
a
not how
negative one.
that's not how sexuality works. We're not triggered by what's we are triggered by certain signals that we get. And the more signals we get and the more extreme these signals are, the more turned on we are, the more attracted we are. And if the signals
Okay,
are
but
not
then
there,
it would just
it's
be
not
like a
neutral.
number thing.
Sorry?
Oh no, sorry, go ahead. I was
It's not
lagging.
neutral when there is no breast to look at. That's not neutral. Like a neutral, like a breast
Oh,
is a signal that I get for it, like it's an attraction signal that I get. And if that attraction signal is not there, there is less attraction.
okay, so that's I think you're getting onto something pretty interesting. I just want to ask a few more questions. So
Sure.
are you saying that because when men rate a woman, like the breasts are like a factor that make her more attractive, right? But if a man just looks at like a headshot, it's not going to be like he's let's say that a woman's like a 7 out of 10. If he just looks at the headshot, he's gonna think, oh, she's a 7. But if then you look at a photo that shows the breasts too, he would feel more attracted, but he still probably would rate her a 7 or like close to a 7, assuming that the breasts are like average. So are you saying that for a woman it's different? That if you don't have like the personality and like the status and stuff, that she will look at that man and it's actually gonna be like less visually attractive. Are you saying that it's different like that?
Yes, I
I
think
mean,
that.
my explanation's kind of like
I mean,
convoluted, but I
no,
hope
it's
that
it's
you
it's all
understand.
right, but I mean, I think that a picture of a face, also for men, just a picture of a face is going to create less attraction. It's going to amount to less physical attraction than you would get of a picture of a full body, right? Like they would
Right.
produce less arousal, right? And if you, I don't know, like I don't think that for men, because the visual aspect is just the same. Like I think that the visual aspect is way higher for men. um we are able to, just by visually having, just visually being aroused way more. And I think that women need a lot of context around the visual in order to be more, in order to be aroused at the same amount. So if that's not there, then it is not really, and it also makes sense, like if, from an evolutionary standpoint.
Yeah, I actually agree with it. But like you just what you brought up about rating, like that's really interesting because I've never really thought about it that way. Because you just showed that like the numerical rating doesn't actually map onto the magnitude of attraction that you feel. Because like a woman who's like fully naked, that creates a lot more attraction than just like a photo of a woman's face. But men don't rate that way. They would both rate both photos like a 7 out of 10, both of them like a 8 out of 10, right? So, but
I've,
if it's actually proportional to the amount of attraction you feel, then you should rate like the naked body like a 10 and the face like a 2. So that's really interesting because it just shows that the numbers don't actually map on to the sheer amount of attraction that you feel.
but don't you think that a man would rate a woman with a big cleavage higher than one without?
Yeah, but that's because the big cleavage is above average. So it
No,
adds
but
to the rate.
don't you think that that just the fact that he gets more signals from that woman's body, that he would rate her overall more pretty?
I mean, I'll have to think about this more because like I've never really thought about it that way. That the I think that the man would definitely feel more attracted. I don't know how that would translate into the ratings though.
But that's what, like this, all of this idea of beauty is, like, all of it is, it's not about that. At the end of the day, it's about attraction. It's about sexual attraction. That's what we're talking about, right? Like that's the
Right.
only thing that matters. Like I don't have to, like, I don't need a girl to find me beautiful. No one needs, like, you don't need a girl to find you beautiful. You need a girl to find you attractive, sexually attractive, right?
Yeah.
And I have to find my girlfriend sexually attractive. It's not about, like, it's not about winning a beauty contest, right? And I feel like that's what, like, in the black pill, it's like a guy has to win a beauty contest. No, it's not about winning a beauty contest. You can't do anything with that. You have to be attractive. And what it means to be attractive can be very different from person to person. But if you look at the really really classical things, that I mean, if we want to really talk about differences, uh, a man, for creating another human being, he can do it like 10 times a day, right? Or maybe let's not exaggerate, but 2 times a day. But a woman can only do it once every 9 months, right?
Right.
So, and also she's in a very vulnerable place once she's pregnant. So there's so many other factors that come into that are needed to be safe, and to make sure that this is working the way it is intended to work. There's so many factors that come into play that it's really normal that it's not just looks. Don't you think?
Yeah. I don't think it is just looks.
It don't you think it would be weird if this would not have an impact, a severe impact on what how women rate men if that's the only thing they have? Like the amount of attraction they feel, the amount of attraction they feel is equal to the amount how much they want to sleep with the guy, right? That's what attraction
Right.
means. So
But
wouldn't you think that the way it is done is that the amount of wanting to sleep with a man is being reduced without these other factors, without the context, without the knowledge about the personality of the guy and all of this. So it would be really normal, just like with the not being able to smell when eating, just like that would reduce your appetite and the amount of pleasure you get from tasting the food. Like,
yeah,
don't you
I
think that
see what
makes
you mean.
sense?
But I think that the amounts that a woman would want to sleep with a guy is will be reduced. But I don't think that that necessarily means that the rating she will give to the man's appearance will be reduced.
What else is that? That's what I'm not getting. I feel like the black pill is like making this two layers of what is the rating? Like, what is she rating? What is she doing there? Is
The
she like
man's
measuring the
like
distance
handsome.
of the eyes? And
Like she no, but you can just look at a face and like rate how good that face looks, independent of how much sexual attraction you feel. Because a gay man can still rate women, like a lesbian woman can still rate men's faces. Straight men can rate men's faces. That's what Wheat Waffles does.
yeah,
So
but
it's not
that
when you rate, it's
that's
not exactly like how much sexual attraction you feel.
you can rate it based on what you think that is beautiful or what you think is attractive, right? But that is not interesting for us, right? I can if I don't like, let's say I don't like steak, right? I hate steak. I don't like eating steak. But I know what people that like steak enjoy when having steak, right? So I can taste the
Yeah,
steak even though I hate it. I can still have a given opinion on if it's chewy or not, if it's like juicy or not, if the taste is like intense and all of these things. I can rate a guy, right? But it's based on my experience I have with the world, like, right? And maybe on my sense of symmetry, what I think is beautiful in a painting and stuff like that. Like, there's lots of ways I can judge a man's face, but that's not important for us. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the male female experience, right?
right. We are like interested in the attraction, the sexual attraction, but
Yeah.
just to tie it back to like your original criticism of the video, that section of the video was just me talking about how it's more difficult to look good if you're a man. So that part was just focused on the looks, and there were other parts of that video that talks about things other than looks.
Hmm. But I think that the
But do you think that
attractiveness,
that part of the video?
but I think
Oh,
that
sorry, go
the
ahead.
real attractiveness, like the attractiveness overall, is just the same. Like, if you would
Mm,
just let women rate all the men that they encounter in their life with that they know to a certain extent and that they meet and that they talk to and blah blah blah, I think that would be really way more closer to five, having a five mean, like the mean being five. Because that's the way that's what attractiveness, like, that's what it means, right? Like,
I
there is
guess
no,
so.
that's what the scale means. Like, five means average. If you have a scale of 1 to 10, then 5 means being average, right?
Well, not necessarily. I think that, like, with the way that most people rate from 1 to 10, 5 isn't really average. It's more of
Hmm.
like a neutral point where it's not attractive but not unattractive. And the reason I don't think 5 is average is because the average the actual like statistical average man in Western countries is like 40 years old, is overweight, is balding. Is like the actual average man is someone that people would rate like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, but the
And
average
what
man
people
has a
rate a
girlfriend,
5,
right? The average man has a wife, right?
yeah, that's why I don't agree with sub 8 theory.
Yeah, but okay. I think we can. I think we got the point there. The
Your camera froze up a bit.
oh, sorry. Now
And
is it
no,
okay?
I think it's okay now.
Okay.
Looks okay now.
Um, I think the whole problem that I have there is this idea of there being an objective layer of beauty below the attractiveness. I think that's my biggest issue I have. And I'm saying that this layer below, you can do with it whatever you want. First of all, it's not interesting, and second of all, I haven't seen like a consistent theory about it that really works. And yeah, that's I think that's my whole issue with it. It assumes that there is a layer of at which we can like make this distinction, this comparison between men and women. Um, do you have anything like that in mind when you talk like that? When you say objective, like when you say women are prettier than men? Like, do you think about symmetries and like, because how would you compare
No,
the beauty
not really like that.
between
It's just
sexes?
that it's not it's not any based on like analysis of like measuring like canthal tilt, like interpupillary distance and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that there's evidence that one sex finds the opposite sex way more attractive just on a physical level than the other way around. And I think that that's enough to conclude that, one sex evolved to be more visually attractive.
Mm-hmm.